We're reading EVERNIGHT. Today's chapter is called The Witch Gate. It is chapter 51. When Lara opened her eyes, the first thing she wondered was why was there such pain in the side of her face? The second thing she wondered was why had she gone to sleep on the floor? Then her brain fizzed into life and the memories came back. Shadow Jack! He'd been squeezing the life out of her before he vanished. She must have lost consciousness. She jumped to her feet, holding her swollen cheek. Moonwing? Dashing to the balcony, she looked around frantically. Moonwing! Moonwing! It felt like her heart had frozen. Dizzy, Lara ran for the door, exploding out into the passageway. Bernie! Bernie! 88 came rushing out of a nearby room. Lara, what's happened to your face? Bernie, I need to see Bernie. He's gone. Who? He's gone, 88. Bernie! Bernie came hurrying up the passageway, and when she saw Lara's bruised, swollen face, she inhaled sharply. Lara, love! Lara ran to her, throwing her arms around her. Bernie! Oh, Bernie, I'm so sorry. I tried to stop him, but I couldn't. He's gone. Mother Earth's flaming nostrils, child. Who? Who is gone? Moonwing. Lara felt the old witch take a sharp breath. Then Bernie gently broke from Lara's grip, placing a hand on her shoulder, looking her right in the eye. Calm down, love. Breathe. That's it. Now tell me what happened. Lara recounted the events of the previous night. He came here, to Westerly Witch. How dare he? I'm so sorry. Bernie shook her head. I'm the one that's sorry. I should never have left you alone. But I never dreamed you wouldn't be safe here. What do we do? 88 asked. Hurrying footsteps approached, and Bastian Stone came rushing up the hall, puffing and panting. Bernie, you must come quick. What now? The Painted, the EVERNIGHT. They're reaching King's Haven, Bernie. They're raising an army. Bernie's face lost what was left of its colour. You sure? He nodded. Bernie Whitecrow buried her face in her hands. Right, she said, pointing at Bastian. Find Rob Nielsen. Tell him to meet us at the Wandsmith's. The Wandsmith worked down in the bowel of the mother tree, his workshop nestled and entangled amongst the great roots. His name was Eli Wolfback, and he was a short but powerfully built red-haired witch with a button nose and small black eyes. It ain't usual, he said, scowling at Bernie, to turn around a wand as quick as this. I know that, Eli, said Bernie, but you must. Eli scoffed, looked at Lara, from Lara to 88, as if it were their fault that he was being so inconvenienced. It occurred to Lara that Eli Wolfback was the sort of person who thought his work was the most important thing in all the world. She wondered if he even knew about the EVERNIGHT. Eli Wolfback disappeared for a moment behind rows of great shelves stacked with branches and wands at all different stages of completion. When he came back, he was holding 2 branches of similar length and thickness, stripped of their bark and lacquered and fitted with handles made of bone. The end of one handle had been roughly carved in the shape of a fox's head, and the other a lion. They're beautiful, said Lara. They're half done is what they are, mumbled Eli. Well, let's get 'em finished, said Bernie, and Eli gave her such an indignant look that Lara would have laughed in other circumstances. He took the wands to a workbench and, one at a time, began the process of hollowing them out. His big freckled hands worked so delicately, so quickly, that Lara was bewitched. The tool for hollowing the wands was very thin and fragile looking. When both wands were ready, Eli Wolfback went away and returned with 2 revolver chambers made of shining silver metal. He fitted the chambers to each wand, lining them up precisely so that when they spun, the spell in the top chamber would fit perfectly in the barrel of the wand. Finally, he took both wands to the furnace and opened the door. Inside, white flames licked and leapt, and a baking, searing heat made Lara shield her face. Eli Wolfpack did not seem to feel the scorch, though. He slid the wands into this oven, closed the door, and folded his arms, tapping his foot on the floor and waiting in silence. Next, he slipped a pair of big padded gloves on, opened the door, and grabbed the wands. Then he tossed them into a barrel of cold water where they hissed and steamed. At last, Eli Wolfpack brought the wands out of the water, examined them, and shrugged. "Not my best work, but what do you expect in such a hurry?" He handed the wand with the fox handle to Lara, and the lion to Double Eight. The heat of the magical furnace had made the bone handles smooth, and the wooden barrels of the wands had hardened and dried out. Lara took the wand, her wand, in her hands and smiled down at it. The feel of it was warm and good and right. "It's simple enough to fire," said Eli. He brought out 2 spell bottles, loading one into a chamber on each wand. "Right, hold the wand natural-like in your hand. Good. Now, to spin the chamber, twist your wrist to the right." Lara and Double Eight did as he asked. Sure enough, the revolver chamber clicked around 1 notch with every twist of the wrist. "You'll find a button on the handle under your fingers." "Yes?" Lara and Double Eight nodded. "Good. The button is to load the spell into the chamber. Once you've done that, it's live. Try it." Lara felt for the button, pressed it, felt a heavy click. The spell flared bright in the revolver chamber and locked up into the barrel. "To fire," said Eli Wolfpack, "aim your wand and press the trigger. Got it?" "What should we aim at?" asked Lara. "Each other," said Eli. Lara and Double Eight exchanged doubtful looks, then raised their wands and pulled the triggers. Jets of cold water shot out of the wand tips, splashing them in the face. "Hell's teeth!" yelled Lara, covering her face with a sleeve. "Ha!" Double Eight brandished the wand, his water jet growing more powerful. "Oi!" Lara spat. "Enough!" "To stop the spell, just let go of the trigger," said Eli. "The bottle will stop glowing when the spell is spent." Lara stopped the flow of water, wrung out her hair, and stared at the wand in her hand with hushed disbelief. In all her life, she had never imagined she'd ever be involved in the world of witches and magic. Now here she was, in Westerly Witch, holding her very own wand. "It's far more powerful than a white witch wand," said Double Eight, blinking away water and looking quite amazed. "You can feel the magic buzzing through it, just waiting to get out." "Oh, Mother Earth, you're in trouble now." Rob Nielsen stood in the doorway, hands on hips, smiling at the sight of 2 young witches with their new wands. "It's good to see you, Rob," said Bernie. "There isn't much time. You've heard that the Painted are in King's Haven?" "Yes, I was coming to speak to you about it." He glanced at Lara and Double Eight, unsure whether to carry on speaking in front of them. "It's all right, Rob," Bernie reassured him. "Tell me what you wanted to say." "They're rampaging through the slums, destroying mines with their dark magic, building an army to wipe us out. I've had word from a friend at the docks. It's carnage." Lara tugged at Bernie's sleeve. "We need to do something. My friend Joe's there. We need to stop them somehow. We must beat the EVERNIGHT." Bernie gave Lara a grave look. "My dear, you're right. But without Moonwing, I'm not sure how we can." "I've seen what Mrs. Hester can do," said Double Eight, his face colourless. "If she's got Moonwing, she'll work out a way to use him. What if she ends up in control of the EVERNIGHT? She'll be unstoppable." "I've no doubt she's arrogant enough to try it," said Bernie. "But I've been reading everything I can find about the Doomsday Spell all night, and I don't think she can, not while Lara still lives. It needs a member of the Coven. It needs You, Lara. We need to return to King's Haven and retrieve the spell. Aye, said Rob. Rob, said Bernie, I've called on you many a time to smuggle me in and out and protect me in the city. Can I count on you once more? Do you even have to ask? He said. Thank you. Lara, you may be young and inexperienced, but hell's teeth, girl, you're brave and resourceful, and I need you. Will you join us? Lara forced a smile and felt terrified and honoured all at the same time. They were going after the spell, and it would be up to her to use it. Did that mean giving up her soul? And if it did, would Lara ever be coming back? What about me? Asked Double Eight. Bernie raised an eyebrow. Me, yes, me. I want to come too. It's too dangerous, Double Eight. Lara wouldn't be coming if it weren't for her connection to the spell. Stay here, where it's safe. If you fail, then this place isn't safe either. You risked so much to save me, Bernie. You lost so much too. I want to pay you back. You and Magnus. He scratched at his face, searching for the right words. Look, I'm a white witch. I've served Mrs. Hester. I might be able to help. You saved me so I could make my own choices. Let me make this one. It's a good point, said Rob. Double Eight shot him a grateful look. I'd feel better if he was with us, said Lara. Bernie looked Double Eight dead in the eye. Don't make me regret this. Oh, I won't, Bernie. Thank you. I'm certain, Bernie went on, Hester sent Shadow Jack to get Moonwing. If we find her, we find the spell. It'll be dangerous, my loves, and we might not all come back, but we must think of those who have died to get us this far. Your mum, Lara, and Magnus, and all the others. We must finish it so no one else has to make the sacrifice our friends did. Are you with me? Lara thought of her mum, of the message she'd left behind, of her duty. We might not all come back. Could Bernie sense what was coming? Did she have an idea that Lara might have to give up her life? Lara looked at Double Eight, and he set his jaw, his wiry jaw, and nodded. Of course we're with you, Bernie. You know I'm with you, said Rob Nielsen. Bernie smiled around at them. Well then, she said, let's work. There's work to do. Let's get to the gate. Before they'd left the Wandsmith's workshop, Eli Wolfback had given them each a thick leather belt with a place to tuck the wand and many compartments in which to keep spells. As they walked, Lara and Double Eight practiced drawing their wands and firing. I wish there was time to give you both more training, said Bernie, but I'm afraid the situation is so dire we'll have to make do. Just stick close. Off the bridge now and onto the little island. As they climbed to the highest point, a circle of standing stones came into view. Dragon breath lamps stood around the stones, and beside them sat the statue of a creature larger than an ironheart, with the body and tail of a lion, and the head and wings of an eagle. When they were almost upon it, the statue stood up with a rumpled and fixed them with its eagle eyes. It's all right, Griff, said Bernie gently. It's just me. Just old Bernie. What is that thing? Asked Lara. He guards the gate, don't you, Griff? Bernie took another step towards the stone griffin, and she reached out slowly and began to stroke his head and beak. Griff rubbed against his hand and let out a deep, stony rumble. We need to get to King's Haven, Griff. You can see my thoughts. You know how important it is. The great beast looked deep into Bernie's eyes and then moved towards the stone circle with its beak. It touched each of the 7 stones as it passed. When the 7th stone had been touched, the island shook, and the ground in the middle of the circle gave way, revealing a deep hole. A strange, warm wind came from the hole in the earth, and distant, rumbled sounds, voices maybe, and thunder and magic. It's a one-way trip, said Bernie, unless you're going somewhere with stones on the other side, which we're not. You ready?" "No," said Lara. "Not in the slightest," said Double Eight. Bernie took their hands and walked forward to the edge of the gate. The noise was rumbling and thunderous, and Lara looked down to see a swirling darkness. Rob Nielsen stepped forward first, falling down into the gate and spinning out of sight. Bernie's grip tightened, and over the roar she yelled, "On 3, right, 1, 2, 3!" Together, they jumped.